Hey everybody, this is the first training video for the infinite email collector. It's 1.16 or above. So if you're below that, click the update arrow here and get to at least 1.16 or above on the version numbers. So there's been a few little changes that I've made since I started selling this, so I want to make sure that you are on the same page there. Anyway, there's a lot of different little things inside this system, and so a training video is absolutely necessary. Basically, I'm going to start with the Instagram email collector and just go through it in the accounts and everything. First off, under the accounts, if you have your Instagram account set up here, this is where you'll see the hide browser. So if you don't want the browser running while it's going, then you can turn this on, and and then it won't it'll run, but it'll run in a minimized manner. I'm going to change the location of this probably to the message tab and make the message tab a control tab for various purposes in the very near future. But if you don't want it to run, go ahead and set that. So the Instagram email collector is unique in two ways. It runs from platform to platform so that it doesn't task any one platform too much. And this is really important, especially for Instagram and Facebook, because Instagram and Facebook are pretty sensitive, and it makes sense because they're owned by the same company. So they're very sensitive about the number of logins and everything. So I can't promise anybody that you're not going to get your accounts restricted. However, in running this, I have not. And I'm using my own account. And so I'm going to give you some limits to follow. And if you follow those limits, then you should be okay. If you do get restricted on Facebook, it's only going to be for a day or two. But the best thing, of course, is to always have a secondary account that you're not using a lot when you're doing this. So those are the considerations and warnings. All right, I'm not going to be responsible if any of you come back and say, hey, this took out my Facebook account. It didn't happen to me, and I've ran this with several thousand emails collected, but I did it over time, and I did not do more than 100 a day, and that's the limit that I set for myself for Facebook, and I spaced it out for many hours when I did that. So that's the parameter there. With Instagram, I've been doing no more than about 220 a day, and that's not the number of emails, that's the number of profile views. Okay, so Twitter, I set that to about 200 a day, and LinkedIn 200 a day, but again, I spaced them out, and so I'll show you how I did that. First off, when you're running the Instagram email collector, you have to have it selected down here. All right, so you can run any of the tabs or not. So if you're concerned about Facebook, you just deselect any of these, and then it'll just skip that one. Okay, and then move on to, let's say, the LinkedIn. So it goes from Instagram to Facebook to Twitter to LinkedIn. The limit here is the number of profile views it's going to do before it changes, before it rotates. Now in practice, you're probably going to set this to about 40, but I've just been running 10, 20, and 30 at a time for the most part. But 40 should be just fine. So the number one thing you need to understand is that in each tab, okay, you're going to set the parameter for that tab. So it won't do more than that many in that tab. And that should be divisible by what you have set here. So if you want to do 100 in Facebook and you set this to 20, all right, so it'll rotate 5 times, spacing out the amount of time that it's going to run through each system. So it's going to wait a few seconds in between each one, and I may make that a longer period of time. Right now I believe we got 30 seconds set. So just keep in mind, everything works, and it really works well, but that doesn't mean that we have this perfected yet. I won't call this a beta version because we've already went through beta, but it is something that we are going to be tweaking a little bit here and there. If any of you are watching this and you have any ideas on how to make this better, or something that I need to include, just send me an email or text or whatever, and I'll probably put it in. So there you go. And I've already started doing that with some of the customers that have already purchased. So anyway, so let's say that I was going to set this to 200. All right. So then it would run 20 times, or if I set this to 20, it would run 10 times, okay, before it finished. All right. In Facebook, if I have this set to 100, okay, then it's going to run 5 times. All right. In the Twitter, download limit of 200, and then in LinkedIn, I haven't done more than 100 at a time, but you can get away with 200 over the course of a day. Okay, so the max in LinkedIn is 300 page views for the day, but you've got to be very careful in the LinkedIn tab, because if you set this to email only, okay, it's going to collect and collect and collect until it gets that many emails. All right, so my suggestion is to not set it to email only, okay, and collect them, and then you can click this and it will take out the profiles that did not collect emails before you export the data for use. So remember, you own any of this data that you're collecting, and you can do whatever you want with it. We do have a facility to email some of it here. I'm going to go over that in a separate video. That's done on this tab here. So basically you can load the file and then email it through an SMTP, which is set up here. All right, it's set up, it's defaulted to Gmail, but you can use any SMTP, and I'll be going over a lot more about that in the future. Right now I want to go over how we just start and begin using this. Now, I like doing followers on Instagram, but we are set up for likes, tag, and profile search. Profile search is just finding profiles that are like the keyword. I may actually take that out because we don't really need it. Tags are hashtags. Likes are on the post. A lot of people like to do this, and then followers, obviously. So first, before we begin any of this, I'm going to show you how we find what we want to do. So let's say that I wanted to do likes, and I just put in a hashtag renewable energy. All right, I'm going to be coming out with a book in a few months on renewable energy, so I'm collecting people for renewable energy so that when the time comes I can promote. And so I'm doing this like 3 months ahead of time, and it's just a fun project, And if any of you are interested in that, let me know. I'll give you a free copy of the book so you can check it out, because it's going to be really cool. A lot of mind-blowing tech that people are not aware of is the theme of it. So let's say we did this hashtag renewable energy sources. It's got a lot of posts there. Okay, so if we cruise over there, excuse me, and I've never been on this page before, so I'm just checking it out. Okay, renewable energy sources. Let's look for something that looks cool. So what you want to look for is how many people have liked this. All right, and I like to look for ones. Oh, here's 207. Okay, excuse me. So that would be a decent one. I'm just going to look around just a little bit. All right. Okay, it'll show you how many here. Well, looks like that's the winner. I'm not going to jump around too many here. So if I click on it, all right, then it's going to have Instagram and then P for posts, and then it's going to have this code right here. All right, I copy that, and that tells the software where to target. So it's going to target these 207 people that liked this post. Obviously, they're interested in renewable energy, which of course is the whole idea here, is to get targeted people. Now, basically what I do is change this to likes and then paste in that username here. Now, I'm not done with the other one right now, but that's all you do. Just paste that in right here, and then set it to likes and set your limit. And then the follow, okay, is do you want it to to collect if they have less than X number of followers. Now, when I did this, I set this to 0, and you can see the number of followers here. All right, so I did not set it to anything, but if I want to, I can select follow, and that means that it's going to not try to collect those email addresses if it doesn't have more than a minimum of 1,000 followers. So be careful with this, because if you don't do anything with it, if you come in here and you set it to 0, and then you select follow 0, that's fine. I have not been running this to follow, but some people do. Some people only want to try and target really active people, and so that's what that's there for. But I have not been using it. I'm just trying to get all of the emails that I can. Okay, so if I was going to run this, I would set it to likes. I would paste in that username, or in this case a post marker for that post, and I would set it to 200. There's 207 available. If you want to set it to 207, you can do that. And then I would set this to 20, and it would only go to it would go up to the 207. But I like to do things where it's it's divisible, and so it stops when I want it to. So I would set it to 200. And so after that, you make sure that this is selected, the Instagram email collector. Okay, and then you're ready. And then you go over to the next, and then Facebook. Here you can see I'm doing realtors. So this is great. If you want to collect realtors and you're targeting realtors, this is a godsend, because look at this data. Almost everyone has a phone number. So I did 60 on this run. you know, you've got almost all of the phone numbers. I'm doing Fresno, California. You just select it here. Okay, so you can do any state or any city. There's 380 cities programmed, but you can put in another city if you don't see it in here and click add, and it'll come up in here. Basically, I just did Fresno on this run. And you get the website, but the main thing is you're getting the real email of these realtors. This is super cool. All right. So these people, I use this as an example because realtors really want to get known. They're highly active. So if you manually go into your Facebook and you put in, let's say you want to do network marketers or whatever, you put in network marketers, and you start looking at business pages, and you start seeing in the business page how many of them have an email and or phone number and or website, then you'll get an idea of the percentage of collection that you can get. All right, so do your homework before you start this, because each niche that you are running in this is different. I used realtors because they really want to be found, and it was going to give me a maximum amount of data. But if you're doing network marketers, you're going to get some, but not as much as this. And you want to take a look at each market niche. Affiliate marketers is different, investors, whatever you want. It's going to create a different amount of data that's available. So you put in your keyword right here, whatever the title is, okay, and set your limit, all right, and remember this should be divisible by the limit here. This is the overall limit before it rotates, and this is the individual maximum for each of the social networks. So it's set on Facebook. You don't need to. This basically is just the display. So if I click this, it's only going to show emails. All right. And the same with websites. So that's just a display control. Again, this is involving with sending. I'll get into that in a separate video. And then you select your city that you want to target. Now, so what if you want a whole state? Well, be careful, because usually Facebook will display about 100 from just a specific city. And so if you if you get all of these different cities and you want to start collecting them, this thing will continue to run, if you have this limit set too high. Okay, so you've got to protect your account and don't do more than 100 a day in Facebook. That's, so you're only going to need one city at a time, generally speaking, is the message. On Twitter is different. A lot of people don't realize you can get email addresses from Twitter, and there's we're getting whatever phone numbers we can get too. If you take a look, okay, I'm getting emails, all right, but there's not as many, all right, and some of them are like info at, all right. These are derived by looking at the website and seeing what these people have on their website. Almost, it's not a lot of these are on the front page of their Twitter account, but we look them up and we pull them from the URL that's located. How you do this basically is you go to Twitter and you find a keyword for the followers, whatever you want to do. So like I use Tony Robbins usually as an example. I'll put in Tony Robbins, I'll pull up his page, and then I'll copy the link of the page, and you just paste the link right here and click add. All right, and it comes up here. So I did this for the Ren Energy Hub. Okay. Now, when you have this up in this box, you have to select it. If you don't select it, the software will not go in and pull any data. So you have to select it, even if you've just got one. Okay. So put in the URL, click add, and select it. And then minimum followers. Now, I did this with 0. Okay, like the Instagram. I set it to the number of followers, and I don't see any reason to set it to a minimum of 500 followers or whatever. I'm just trying to get email, so I suggest that you set it to 0, and then there's your limit again for the amount that is pulled from Twitter. So it's just it's similar to the Instagram. I didn't set up a email only selection here, but you can see we are collecting these. So it's about 1 out of 10 to 12 that you get. So it just depends what you want to do. Some people that are doing personal development, they may really want Tony Robbins followers. Okay. So, another thing I need to explain to everybody is that the software, if you leave the data in here, okay, then it knows where it left off. And when you run this again the next day to collect a couple hundred more, it will start where it left off. So it's not going to do duplicates. Okay, it's not going to duplicate anything as far as that goes. Anyway, that's the general Twitter one here. Go ahead and move on to the LinkedIn email collector tab. This is my favorite tab. So basically you put in the keyword and location here. All right, and you don't want to ever do more than 200 a day, and you do want to space these out, 100 in the morning and 100 in the late afternoon, so a couple of hours in between them. All right, categories can be the same as your keyword or similar. But what we're doing is we are collecting data from the services section of LinkedIn. And so these people are much more active than a lot of the other people. They have premium accounts. They generally, want to be known. You get really nice, good, clean email addresses usually. And they're just a very professional crowd. This right here, this is one of the best ways to collect emails I've ever seen. And when we started getting into sending messages to the premium account holders, I realized that we could begin collecting emails. And so that was one of the main reasons why I set up this infinite email collector, because we have such a capability now. We were doing Instagram before. A couple years ago I had a Twitter email collector. We've had a Facebook for the last few years. Now we added the LinkedIn and the rotation. And so we can collect emails pretty much all day long as we space it out enough. And we can get high quality emails own them, export them, and not have to use credits. There's a bunch of systems out there that will collect emails, especially on LinkedIn, but they all take credits in order to run. And they're using a different technology called artificial email permutation. And it's a pretty imperfect technology, but it does work. And I've used various processes to do it, but this is better. This is better for two reasons. One, you don't have to continue to buy these credits, okay? And number two, you get better emails, all right? Because the ones that use artificial email permutation, what they're doing is they're theorizing what that email will be from the website, and then they're pinging it to check and see if it's a real email. However, that doesn't work with top-level domains like Gmail, Hotmail, Yahoo, Live.com, and any of the other ones. That pinging technology doesn't work. Now look at this. We've got Compass.com, maybe, but we've got Gmail accounts and Comcast in here, different top-level domains, and we can use these, and we know that these are good emails. We're going to get right to that person. So this tech is 10 times better than what's out there. So anyway, you've got one of the only systems in the world that will do anything like this, until somebody steals it from me, of course. So you can set your first, second, or third connections. All right, first meaning they're in your personal network. If you don't want that, just unselect it. I don't have the load LinkedIn profile image because it makes it slow when it reloads. But if you really want to look at the people, you just select that. You can select email only if you only want it to display email. But this is what you have to be careful of, because if you select that email only, all right, then it's going to continue to run until it collects, as many as it's set here. So if you have this from 200, if you have this set to 200 and you select email only, it may run 400 different profile views in order to get that 200, and LinkedIn is going to restrict your account. So don't select email only when you're collecting. Only afterwards, before you export the data, so that you only export with the email. Okay, that's very important. Again, when you're running the collections, do not select the email only after it's all done. So so this is set to do 200 for the entire day, and so it will run through and do 200, and then you'll have a lot of good clean emails. To export, you click this, and then you label the file whatever you want. Now, I always label my files with the type of data collected, okay, the location, the number of emails collected, and the date. So if you have those four pieces of information, then you can always refer back to it and know when it was collected. So something was collected 6 months before something else, and it's the same keyword, then you want to use the newer stuff, for instance. So that data is valuable. Keyword, location, number of emails, is really, really important. And then the date, of course. All right, so this is the LinkedIn email collector, and of course you have to have this selected in order for that LinkedIn tab to operate. So here's your little control panel. Select the ones that you want. Set this as a limit. 20 is normal, and that's what I've been running with. And then when you hit this play button, that's going to turn it on. All right, and it'll start with the Instagram. okay, and it'll do 20, and then go to Facebook and do 20, and then go to Twitter and do 20, and go to LinkedIn and do 20, and then come back, and it will continue until it's finished, okay? So if you are setting up something that you want to space it out and do part in the morning and part in the evening, especially on this LinkedIn, when they're sensitive, and Facebook too, when they're sensitive to the amount that's being set, then you might want to do this half a day, half at once. So you would set this to half as much as you want, like 50. Twitter doesn't really matter so much. LinkedIn 100, Instagram 100. Hit the play button, let it run, wait an hour or two, come back, and then after it's done collecting or whatever, leave everything in the grid and then run it again for the second half of the day. So that's the modus operandi of how it operates and how you can export the data. Here we have a load facility, so you can load the data into here to email out. So whatever you've collected, you would need to export it, and then export it, clear this, and then import whatever it is that you want using this import facility. So that's the basics of everything. We have a few things that we're going to be tweaking and adding and changing, but this is the primary function. There's a bunch of little things like I just showed you, and the SMTP section, again, I'll do in a separate video. But the bottom line is this thing rocks on collecting email data, targeted email data, and there's other stuff out there that might pull stuff faster and be able to do it from certain places on the internet, but the quality of the data then is lacking as well. I've used all kinds of stuff out there. I mean, let me tell you, man, I've used systems that pull emails from Facebook likes, but the data sucks. It just does. I've bought data, I've collected data, I've built my own stuff, I've been back and forth on this for years. This really is a huge improvement on the email collection technology out there. I hope you enjoy it. I look forward to working with each and every one of you and listening to your suggestions on how to make it better. And I will make an updated video probably sometime in January when all those changes have been completed. Thank you for watching.